Hello. 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 Wait, I'm not sure if you can hear me actually. Can you? Wait. Okay, this is a little confusing. Hang on a second. Here, if you hear this. Oh, good afternoon. Okay. Data. Oh, person who I saw recently. No. Good afternoon, Jose. And wait, could someone do a voice hello just so I can see if I feel like, wait, is the audio working?
Afternoon.
Oh, thank you so much. Good afternoon. All right, that was that Brianna? No, who just said, sorry, who was that?
Okay.
Hey, thank you, Kay. All right, awesome. Oh, and there's people coming. Okay, great. So you can hear me and I can hear you. Great. Back to, hold on. Hello, Ashley. Hello, Jose. Hello, Montserrat. Hello, Stephen. Oh, hello, my son who just walked in. Hello, a dog who just walked. Hello, Kay. Hello, Abdel. Hello, Felix. Hello, Katya. I'm going to the chat now. Sorry, a little confusing here. We'll get rolling. Hello, Jada. Hello, Jose. Hello, Sumaya. Good afternoon, Sumaya. Good afternoon, Brianna. Hello, Brian. Hi, Montserrat. Hi, Felix. Hi, Azra. Oh, what? Okay. Wait, she's off the.
Move this chair.
Sorry, that was okay. 1 second. Sorry. Okay. All right. Are you okay with your inside? Okay. Sorry. Okay, we're going with people are coming in. You know that expression off the chain. Sometimes it's literal and it's happening right now. Wait, but there's someone trying to get in and I can't get them in. Yeah, okay. Oh yes, I'm good. Thank you, Abdel Rahman. And you said I could just say Abdel, I think you said. Wait, okay. But
Yep.
yeah. Oh, was that a yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
can call me Bill. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, thank you. Okay. And I'm good, thank you. I'm obviously a little bit spazzy at the moment, but guess what? I'm spazzy at every moment. I just have a reason for being spazzy this time. Okay, wait, here's someone else. And hello, Gianna. Okay, awesome. So we're getting there. We will actually have a class in a moment. And indeed, if you haven't officially met one of my sons, you definitely will. If you haven't met his dog yet, you will. Sorry. Okay. But and good afternoon, Alejandro. Thank you. Oh, I like those exclamation points. Oh, good afternoon, Osmael. I like those exclamation points. Did I say Gianna? I think I did. And I'm still bumping on some names. I apologize. Okay. Or I mean, bumping on pronunciations of names. You could still feel free to tell me. Okay. But I think that's hello, everybody. Oh, Euban, hello. Jada, I said hello, I think. Tobias, hello. Oh, hello and good afternoon. Yes. Okay. Oh, that's okay. I can't, I don't want to play favorites with avatars or anything, but yeah, I like that avatar. What would ever make you think that I would like that avatar? Or I'm not pronouncing it. I like that picture, Tobias. That's all I'm saying. Okay, thanks. But then if you, yeah, don't get me started on Mario and so forth. Oh my God, in a good way, but don't. That's hilarious. Okay. So yeah, we have to do stuff, and don't even get me started on Pokemon. No, don't. But if you ever come into my office, bring a deck. That's all I'm saying. Okay. So we are at a stage, which is not an unusual stage, where almost all of you are significantly ahead of me. That's the good news, and it is good news. It sometimes feels frustrating. It sometimes feels like bad news, but you are ahead of me. That is, you have given me more work than I have given you back. This is partially an apology, partially a congratulations, partially an acknowledgement. Like, in fact, like quick acknowledgement. Hold on. Like, just to be clear. Oh, well, did I just see? Oh, that's Sarah. Oh, hello, Sarah Marks. If I didn't say hello, sorry. I love the video. Okay. Quick acknowledgement, like, let's be clear, because it can be very confusing. I know physics I can. Hold on, I'm just looking up something. but many of you have done a lot more things than you've gotten back. I just want to, again, so, and that does not mean you've done anything wrong. And it does mean that I'm behind, but it doesn't mean that you won't get them back. And it doesn't mean that they're missing or anything like that. In fact, and it also means you're going to get a break, definitely tonight, and possibly also a longer break than that, like possibly Wednesday night. Like, for example, oh yes, in this class, oh, someone else is coming in. Sorry, someone else is coming in. Can't. Oh, coming back in. Okay. Like, let me just try to be very clear, because you are, the way this works in physics is you are asked to think about things before I explain them. What you may have noticed is that in class, I do explain things. I mean, I do try. And sometimes I explain things like too much or too long for some people's tastes, or at least at the beginning, too many ways for some people's tastes. But what I want to convince you at the beginning of class is that everything I've asked you about, does eventually get explained. And hopefully makes it easier to understand the next thing that's coming. But indeed, you are asked to think about things before I explain them. The whole goal in the long run is for me not to give you fish, but to teach you how to fish, so to speak. Which means that as we're ramping up more and more, like, my explanations will get faster, my coverage will get faster. But it means, for example, homework number 4 that was due today started really asking you things that, believe me, I know we never mentioned in class yet. Like, if you thought, wait, we've never mentioned this in class yet, you're not crazy. And also, I'm not crazy. And you didn't miss anything, and also neither did I. You were asked to start figuring things out from the information given in the sheet, just like you did on the very first sheet. Only now I would expect that sheet 4 probably felt a little bit harder. It might even have felt unfair to some of you. I want to acknowledge that too. In fact, let me be very direct and say, in this particular section, I'm proud and grateful to say to you that out of the 12, there are 13 people here, at least 12 of you have already handed it in. Like, in fact, and I'm not looking at who didn't hand it in. I'm not concerned with whoever didn't hand it in still can hand it in. It's all going to be fine. I'm not saying anything about that, but I am saying, like, if your name, so thank you, Jose. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Montserrat. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Tobias. Thank you, Jocelyn. Thank you, Miriam. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Abdel. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Olsmail. Thank you, Gianna. I'm just trying to make clear that if you handed in homework 4, you are very, very on top of this class. I got your submission. I still owe you like 2 and 3. I know that, but just know your work is going into a slot that is not getting lost. And I know that if you've already handed in 4, you're up to material now where you might even be saying, wait, what's going on here? Like, are we ever even going to talk about this? Or like, what? And yes, we are. And yes, we're going to, before there's ever a homework 5, there's going to be some catch up time for me, for you. So some of you, so more time for you guys to start going back and revising things as you hear more, as you get back more. Basically, I'm just saying there's going to be catch up break now. Like, there's not going to be a homework 5 for a little while. So if you've already done homework 4, you can start breathing easy and just relaxing and listening as we continue to go over stuff, and know that you will get these things back. Okay, so I hope that's clear. Keep going with the game turns and all that, even though many of you still haven't gotten some back. But if you ever, okay, bottom line. So the pacing is funny in this class. Like, you have to do things before I do them. That's just the way it is, because we're trying to learn in this class what to do when we don't know what to do. That's literally, like, to me, that is the nugget of physics research. It's like being a real scientist, is knowing what to do when you don't know what to do. And every one of you, I mean, honestly, if you've already, literally the fact that you handed in homework 4, and that a number of you took it seriously enough that you noticed, wait, there's a question here that doesn't even make any sense. Like, what is this question about this equation on a web page? Like, and some of you wrote to me about that, and thank you. And I'd forgotten that stupid question was there from days of old, and that question doesn't make any sense. And if you noticed it didn't make any sense, you were very right to write me and tell me. And hopefully you all saw in the stream when I wrote back in the stream that, like, that, just ignore that. That's my bad. I got to take that out of the assignment at some point. But that just, if that was your biggest confusion, good, because that means other things were clear to you. Anyway, you're doing fine. We're going to keep going over the material. You will get a break. You deserve it. I mean, you are getting a break now, like nothing. So anything you have to do for the next few days is just either revise or catch up on something you haven't done, or wait for me to start giving you back more of stuff you have done. That's what I'm trying to say. So where we are, and, oh, I know what I was going to say. Again, I'm going to try to now move along more and go over another sort of hard problem. Maybe two. And I do want to get to the homework 3, which was like a weird homework, I know. But wait, what was I going to say? Oh, but if ever, even with this whole speech I'm making, which again is part congratulations to you or thanks to you, and also part apology that I know you need to get stuff back. But if ever, you're organized, most of you, it seems, especially if you, whatever, you're organized, most of you, probably more than I am. So if ever you just have a moment where you're like, okay, I don't need to get his feedback yet on this homework, like I can wait for the actual grade or the feedback, but like, I do want to like, did he actually get it? Does he actually, you can always just text me. Okay, someone just did. You can text me always and just say like, just want to make sure, did you get my revision of homework 3 or whatever? And I'm happy to do that. Remember, again, I'm actually better with frequent short questions than I am with like infrequent big things. So just because I haven't gotten something back, it doesn't mean I can't respond to like a check-in of like, am I okay in this class? Anything to, anyway, I think you get it, but feel free to do that. All right, someone just did from the other class, but what I'm going to do now, and same thing with this class, I'm going to talk now. I'm going to start going over, oh, excuse me. Well, I'm going to start. Okay, I'm going to go back to homework 2. I'm going to go to the last problem of homework 2 and finish that today. Maybe ideally do a little bit more than that. I was planning on doing it, but in fact, I'll tell you right now, honestly, all of you, whenever I have these equations on the front page of a notes for a day, usually what they mean, they're usually some sequence of equations that we have seen plus equations that we're given. Like, to be super clear and honest, the very first equation on this page, right? The very first equation on this page is the only equation we have in the class thus far. Let me say that again clearly. The very first equation on this page is the only, oh, hello, good to see you. Good to see you, Miriam. I like that. That's awesome. Okay. I love the, what is the sound of 2-bit emojis clapping or whatever? Okay. The very first equation on this page is the only equation we have in the class so far. And again, some of you might be thinking like, my God, we're 3 weeks into this class and we only have one equation. Like, what is this? But something I'm trying to show you, and I'm going to try to show you again today with the last problem of homework 1, of homework 2, is it's unbelievable how much can go into and come out of even one equation. To me, it's unbelievable. A lot can happen through just one equation. And a lot should happen before we even move on to the second or the third. So ideally, we're going to get to the second and third equation on the sheet today. And the more we understand the second and third, by the time we get to today, the more you'll understand homework 4. And maybe some of you do understand it already, but I'll tell you right now. So the goal of today is to get to the second and third equation. But I will tell you right now that in the other class, the section this morning, I went over the last problem of the sheet. I was going over it. I thought I was going to do it sort of quickly, but they had a lot of questions about it, mostly in the direct chat. Like, they were stopping me a lot with questions that I know they thought were stupid. I know that, or not stupid, but they thought something was maybe a little bit dicey about their questions. Why do I know that? Why do I believe that? Because they put it in the direct chat, not the public chat, which is totally fine. But it indicated that there was something a little bit like, they were a little bit like, didn't like their own question. You know what I'm saying? There was a little bit of discomfort with their own questions. So they put them in direct chat. Totally fine. Well, I will tell you that from all the questions that I got in direct chat last time, I ended up spending the whole period just going over this question 3, or this last question, homework 2. Wasn't my plan. It's what happened. Am I okay with that? Very. I mean, might that happen to you guys this period? If you ask me enough questions in direct chat about what I'm saying, and it takes us all period to go over this, Quark bless America. If it makes it clear to you, I got no problems. And I hope you do anyway. I don't hope you make up questions just to slow me down. But if you're honestly not following what I'm saying, I need you to please let me know. And the longer we can take on these fundamentals, as long as I don't bore you to tears, and I can keep, the longer we can take and get you to actually see that the fundamentals both make sense, but are also deeply powerful, then the faster we can go through anything that comes later. Like really. Okay. So I'm encouraging you right now. We're going to turn. So we might not. So these two sorry. So again, the first equation on the sheet. Oh yes. The first equation on this sheet right here. I mean, on this page of notes. Do I expect that you have some building some comfort with right now at this point? Yes. If you want to know where you are in the class, like that first equation says average velocity is defined to be displacement over time. That's what we're working with in this class right now. That's what we're practicing. That's what we're unpacking and using. That one I'm expecting you to be getting somewhat comfortable with. The other two is what we're moving toward, and we might not get to them today if you honestly have enough questions about what I say that you feel comfortable asking, then we won't get the other two today, and that is fine as long as it's honest. Okay, so I'm going to turn so we're going over the last problem on homework, and stop me with anything. Like if I'm already like off base, just let me know. Also, you can always in the direct chat. People don't do this enough. I'm going to open up a portal for this for the following. In the direct chat, the flip side is also true. You can always say in the direct chat, "I get what you're saying. Could you please move on?" You can. If you say it politely, I won't be insulted. I might not be able to move on right at that moment because three other people might, but I could take that as like a vote in that direction. You know what I'm saying? Like you guys have to steer me and then I'll drive the car or something metaphor like that. All right. So I'm going to flip the page. Oh, hi. Okay. That's a chat. So stop me with anything. Oh, and I'm like, there's a hand. There's a hand. Yeah, that's my hand. Okay. I'm an idiot. All right. Okay. So I'm switching the page. I'm going, hold on. Sorry. Okay, so we're up to we're up to homework 2, average speed. We're doing the last problem, the Grandma Grimm problem, right? That's what I'm going over now. Let me start also by saying if it will engage your attention in any way. So the answer to let me start by saying the answer to this problem is not 120. Yeah, is not. If you got 120, you're not crazy. You're not an idiot. Like really, if you got that the answer to this problem is 120, you're not crazy, you're not dumb, but you now have a reason to listen because it's not right. Okay, that's the first thing I want to say. And I also want to say this problem is very much like the problem that we just went over last Wednesday. It's just like one level, a little bit, it's one level harder than that problem, or 1/2 level harder, but it's the same type of hardness. So I'll also say this. I'm saying that the answer to this is not 120. I may want to take a poll in a second, but I'm going to say right now, the answer is not 120. This problem's very hard to do. If you got the Hill problem wrong, that's also fair and fine, or you couldn't get the Hill problem, that's fine. But then I would, of course, if you sat down in the same session to do the Hill problem and this, it would be very difficult to get this one right if you hadn't gotten the Hill one. Now that we've talked about the Hill one, it's much more possible for many of you to get this one right. So I will say this too. I'm probably going to take a poll in a second, but this problem here, if the last time you looked at it was when you sat down to do the homework and, you know, for the first time, and that was the last time you thought about this, like in other words, before I went over the Hill problem, then okay, then I would certainly understand why you didn't get it right. But if I'm now, if you're getting bored listening to me, if you already think I'm going too slow or too something, I would encourage you on a side piece of paper, start trying to rework this problem now that you've heard what I said about the Hill problem, because it might be a lot easier to, work out. I think, so it's not 120 for the exact same reason that the answer was not 50 in the other problem. I'll be more detailed about that in a second. In fact, I'm going to take a poll in a second, but let me set up first, just to remind you where we're at to do the step method, the 5-step method. Like, so here's the situation, right? Here's my step 1 DFP diagram and fact pattern. Right? It's kind of a bad diagram, but we have a situation where someone goes out, where Little Red Riding Hood goes out from one point to her grandma's house, and that whole distance you can barely see in the red mark, but that whole distance is given to be 80 kilometers of distance. And we're told that the average speed, that is the magnitude of the average velocity, right, is 40 kilometers per day. like that. We're told that she goes out, she does this trip of 80 kilometers, and she does it at an average speed of 40 kilometers per day. Then she comes back, and she comes back at an average speed of unknown. Like, we don't know how fast she comes back, but she comes back. It's the same distance of 80 kilometers. And so those are the givens. Oh, and one more given is we're told it's a given, and it's almost like a constraint on the problem, or a goal of the problem is we're told that somehow for this entire round trip, she does an average speed of 80 kilometers per day. Okay, right? So the givens are out at 40 kilometers per day, back at unknown, average for whole round trip 80 kilometers per day. And what's also given is that the out trip and the in trip have a distance of 80 kilometers, right? So that's the setup for the problem. And the question, step 2, WIQ, is what is the average speed she must go on the way in, such that the average speed for the whole thing is 80 kilometers per day. Okay, so that's step 1 and step 2 of the 5-step method. That's the setup. The question is, what's her speed on the way back in? Now I'm going to pause. As I keep warning, I'm about to take a poll. So if I'm losing you excitement wise, stay tuned for a second. But let me say right away, this problem is very much like the other problem in that we have 2 given speeds and an average speed, and we're trying to sort of look at the relationship among all those 3 numbers. In the hill problem, we were given a out speed and a back in speed, and we wanted to get the average speed. The out speed was 40, the in speed was 60 for the same hill. And we wanted to know the average speed, and we found out, oh, the average speed is not 50, because average speed is not defined to be average of 2 speeds. It's defined to be distance per time. And if you stick to the definition, you find that you can't just average the 2 numbers, 40 and 60, and get 50, right? So we found the average was not 50, it was 48 for that one. Now, similarly here, this is very similar, but yes, it's 1 touch harder. Well, it's 2 touches harder. It's very similar situation, because we're giving an out speed of 40, but here we're not given the in speed. Here, it's not that we're given the 2 numbers and then asked to get the average. Here, we're given one of the numbers and given the average and asked to fill in the other number, right? So it's like a little bit backwards reasoning or reverse engineering or whatever, and that's fine. But here the situation still is the deal, which is, okay, we're given one number, 40, and we're given that the whole average for the whole thing has got to be 80, and we want to find the other number. So you might well think the other number is 120 if you're just treating them as raw numbers. But we're saying here, these are not raw numbers, these are speeds. An average speed is not just a raw average of 2 pairs of numbers. So it's, again, just like the other one, we don't want to just think, oh, 40 plus 120 divided by 2 equals 80. Like, that won't work. Now, I keep saying, what? So it won't be 120. I'm going to take a quick poll for a second. Hold on, I'm going to change the view on the screen. We take a quick poll for a second. I would like you to be honest in the direct chat. And by the way, notice so far, as usual, I've used a lot of words to not say very much. But so far, what I'm saying is I don't think the answer to this problem is 120. And I'm saying it's for the same reason as in the other problem. But I haven't said what the right answer is yet. I think there is an answer, but I haven't said what it is yet. I want to know honestly, please be honest. And let me tell you, if it helps, when I first did this problem, I got 120, of course. I got it wrong when I first did it. I mean, that was many years ago, but so there's no shame. And if I thought that if I assumed that you would all come in and not get 120, then there'd be no point in teaching it. Okay. So there's no shame if you did get 120 or something like 160 or something. But can I just know, I mean, of course I have the homeworks, but just to know how to guide this class, can you just tell me in the direct chat, can everybody in the direct chat please put the ultimate answer you got for this question? Or if you didn't get an answer, there's no shame in that either. For whatever reason, if you struggled and never came up with anything, or you haven't even tried it at all, but I just need to know so I know how to teach this, just put in the direct chat what answer you got. And if you didn't get an answer, just say, NA, like no answer. Okay. And I'm not judging you. I'm not giving you a grade. I'm just taking this poll to know how to teach the class. So put the answer you in the private chat, well, okay. Or you could put in the public chat, but I'm saying you solely can. Oh, okay. You totally can't. You can put it either way, but okay, cool. I'm looking, and I'm not going to read anybody's names out. Don't worry. But right. Okay. I'm reading. Okay. Cool. Thank you. Oh, cool. Oh, interesting. Okay, I'm reading all. Okay, I'm not going to read names, but and could everybody please answer? Just like let me know that you're here, present in the class, whatever you. And again, remember, literally, there's a portal. If the answer you put down here is like wrong, you actually get points for that as well. So don't worry. But I do want to know that you're that you're with me. So please put something here, even if it's NA. Okay, so I'm reading. And I am going to check. I'm going to just check if I got an answer from everybody because I'm here for who did I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12, 13, okay, 14, 15. Okay, someone even just wrote in the direct chat, I'm present. That works. I mean, if that's your way of saying like you hear what I'm asking, but like you don't have anything to say about the problem, fine. But just like let's communicate like that. Oh, and someone put triple question mark. Oh, in the public chat. Oh, it does, but as long as that's in the public chat, does that mean I am assuming that, but please, if you've already lost me, if you don't even know what I'm at, if you don't know what I'm asking, or you don't know where I am in the class, that I need to know. It's okay if you are not where you need to be, but if you don't know where I am, definitely tell me that. But I'm assuming from all these answers that you're all, even the triple question mark, like that means you didn't get any kind of answer, but you know what I'm talking about, right? Or is that a yes? I'm assuming. Okay, I'm going to assume that means yes. But okay, so I think almost everybody's accounted for, not quite, there's almost 18 things. Please put something in the direct chat or the public chat if you didn't yet. In fact, okay, last thing I'm going to do, just because I'm sorry, control the experiment. Right now, no matter what you wrote, please put up an electronic hand just to show if you hear me right now. Just put up an electronic hand or something if you hear me right now. Cool. Awesome. Like everybody, please, and keep them up for a second. Just for a second. Just it's the control of the experiment. Okay. Awesome. Wait, did I get something from Jay? Not trying to call anybody out, but and I got something from Jay. Okay, I got something from everybody. All right, cool. Okay, so now what I'm going to say to you all is there are a lot. I'm going to read out the answers. I'm not going to read out names, but there's a lot of legitimate, just so you can see too why this is worth thinking about. Like I got the following answers. And I'm not even reading them in a particular order. I got 6,400 kilometers per day. I got 120 kilometers per hour. I got 120. I got no answer at all. I got 120. I got 0. I got 120. I got 160. I got A. I got not A. So, okay, a lot of different answers. Right? So it's not a joke problem. And no matter what you got, you're not an idiot. I got 120, not A, question mark, 0 kilometers per day. Okay, so a lot of different answers. And you can put your hands down now, unless, I'm sorry, Katya, do you have a question or you're just hands up because I asked you to put your hands up? If you have a question, definitely ask it. But if not, you can definitely but thank you for your hand if you could put it down now if you want. But okay, thank you. So a lot of different answers. Okay, now I'm going to say this so that we can all tune in together. Some people put like NA, like no answer at all or whatever, but then some people even put like, they put like NA. A couple of people wrote the answer I got was impossible, which is different from saying I didn't get an answer, right? I'm going to tell you right now that a couple of people, I know what they mean. A couple of people are saying to me in the direct chat, one way or another, they're saying, well, it's not that I didn't get an answer and it's not that I gave up on the problem, or maybe they did, or they're not saying it's not that I couldn't solve the problem at all, but what I got as my answer is that there is no speed that makes this problem work. That's what at least two people, I think, are telling me. Like, and I want to distinguish before we go any further. This is kind of like how sometimes in math, like there's a difference between 0 or undefined or something, or there's a difference between or 0 and null set, or there's a difference between there's a difference between saying this problem cannot be solved versus saying the answer to this problem is that Little Red Riding Hood cannot drive back at any finite speed in order to accomplish her goal. I want to make that clear. And if the answer to this problem happened to be, well, actually, given the exact numbers that were given in this problem, given the actual facts of this problem, no matter what speed Little Red Riding Hood would try, it would never work. Like, that would be a valid answer. That is a valid answer. And it might show that this problem was kind of hard if that were actually the answer. It certainly might show that the problem was kind of hard and harder even than the hill problem before. But it wouldn't mean that it's an illegal or unfair. I mean, it might make you angry at the problem. It made me angry at the problem too, if that were to be the answer. But it wouldn't mean that the problem is broken. It wouldn't mean that the math problem is broken. It means that the physical situation is undoable. And let me, before I go any further, I want to say that actually is the answer to this. I'm going to show you all, and don't be, I'm not, and again, you're all going to get all the points on this problem. If you already did it, even if you did it wrong, if you did all the steps, you'll get all the points. Or if you revise and rehand it in, I don't care when, you'll get all the points. So don't worry about the points and don't worry about your grade. If you know that your grade is going to be fine and you're going to get all the points, then I want you to understand that the answer to the problem actually is, or you want the most technical way I can put the answer to this problem, and of course I'm about to explain it, but in order so that you will pay attention, the answer to this problem most technically is average speed equals infinity. Infinite speed would be necessary to complete this problem. Infinite speed is the answer. And I want you to know before we go further that that is a legitimate answer. You might not be able to build a machine that could go that fast. It might not be technologically possible. But infinity is a mathematical concept that we're going to have to deal with a lot in physics. Sometimes infinity is physically realizable, sometimes it's not. But this question would be unfair if I put it on an exam without any like prior thought at all and only gave you points if you got that answer or something, or especially if I wrote in the exam like, there is a finite number that is the answer to this question. And then you did all this work. And then I was like, oh, and the answer is, haha, tricked you. No, there isn't, just fooling. Like that would be totally unfair. And if you got a bad grade because of that, you should be angry and frustrated. I'm saying here now, I'm going to explain this problem. You might be a little bit frustrated by it, but I want you to know one of the reasons that I assign a problem like this in an early homework is to show you something and get your mind to start paying attention in a certain way. It is not to trick you or to make you feel dumb or to make you feel like you're failing the class, because so most people did not get that answer, and most people every semester don't get that answer. And that's why it's worth talking about. Okay. And I didn't, but the answer actually is, it can't be done. Or the answer is, if you want to say infinite speeds, I'm going to now explain why. I feel like it's worth explaining because I think most of you didn't get that answer, like from the direct chat. But for the couple of people who did get that answer, I also want to say absolutely congratulations. That's awesome. That's like, you should be proud of yourself for sure. And you should know that I know that you got that answer right, like noted. But also please don't tune out, because I also want to say to everybody, this is also the nature of physics. Remember, please, that I also do know that that's the right answer at this point. I do. And the reason I do is because I've been explaining and thinking about this problem 3 times a day, every day for 30 years. I totally didn't get it right at first, but I talk about this problem 3 times a day or so every day, or whatever, every year for 30 years. And it's not just, so that's why I understand it now. It's not that I did it first. It's why you're here to grow with me, like as cheesy as that sounds. But second of all, those of you who got it right, please know, here I am. I'm about to talk about this problem for like the 3 bajillionth time in my life. And you will see as I talk about it, that I'm excited by it and interested in it and not just dialing it in, and that it's exciting for me to think about and talk about, because every time I think about it, I learn something new, and something more new and interesting comes into my mind about physics and about the world. Like every new way I look at this helps me with other problems. That's why I talk about it every single year or every single semester over and over. So for those people who got it right, also please tune in, because what you have is now the benefit that you can relax and not be worried about your grade or not be worried about your ego or right or wrong, and know that I know that you're right, and just listen to the thought process and to like what other classmates say or ask about, and try to pick up tools. Remember, the goal of this class, everybody, is to learn to know what to do when you don't know what to do. So many of you don't know what to do with this problem. I'm going to show you. But those of you who think you knew what to do, listen for the things that I say about what you would do next time when you finally hit a moment when you don't know what to do, because it'll happen. Okay, so I mean, I'm just trying to say, I think everybody can get something else. Okay, oh, cool. All right, so now I'm going to look. Okay, wait, uh-oh. So I'm going to look in the chat. Actually, I'm nervous about what's in the chat because maybe you're all angry. Let's see. Okay. Oh, cool. Oh, wait. So maybe you're all ahead of me. Maybe you're all taking care of it. So all smile. And obviously there's things in the direct chat. Oh, cool. So someone already, I understand. Okay. I'm looking in the chat. Okay. So all smile, so you have to teleport. Yeah. For starters. Okay, we're going to work back. Well, actually, yeah, I'm going to turn the page in a second. There's just so you know too, I'm spazzing no matter what, I know, but there's also you can't see on screen right now, but there's a dog involved in what's going on right now. And it's a dog that's teething, and she's totally using my body and my suit to teeth on. And it's a little cute and a little bit distracting. Sorry. Okay. So all smile. Red Riding Hood is from the future. That's hilarious. Okay, wait, I'm going out of work. No, Olsmail is that. Oh my God, that hurts. Sorry. Olsmail is that. And I still feel like I'm not pronouncing her name right. I don't know why, but
it's correct, Professor.
No, really, thank you so much. All right, I will only put you through that 400 more times. Okay, Osmail is right what she's saying, and Abdel is right to agree with her. That's awesome, and this is all very helpful. Oh my God, the dog's out of control. And I'm gonna, but she's right. So if that helps her or helps Abdel to see that she's right, good. And wait, and I'm looking, and Kay, I think Kay is agreeing, and Stephen is agreeing with Ash. Oh, that's fine. Okay, the Ashley thing is funny, and the Kay thing is funny, and the Stephen thing is funny. But now let me say why it is funny, but it's also true. I'm going to turn the page here. Oh, and I want to emphasize, by the way, I know I'm really defensive. I'm like, oh, don't think this is a trick. It's not a trick. I mean, it is tricky. It's super tricky. But I want you to see that it's fair too. Like what I mean is, I'm going to show you now like why the answer is it can't be done. And I mean specifically because of these numbers. I don't mean that a problem like this could never be solved. I mean, there's a way to solve this problem that if we solve it, we will see that the answer has to be infinity. And what I specifically mean is if we use the one and only equation that we have, average speed is defined to be distance over time, we will see, we won't just see that the problem is, we won't hit a wall. We'll literally see why what Olsmail is saying is true. Like, so I'm going to turn, did I turn the page? I'm going to turn the page. Sorry. So I'm going to start breaking it down, and bizarrely, you'll see it's going to take 7 pages to do this, but it's nothing that you couldn't do on your own, or some people did, if you trust that the one thing we know in this class right now is that average speed is defined to be distance over time, and that we can rearrange that any way to suit our needs. Like that also means distance equals average speed times time. And that also means that time equals distance over average speed. All of those things are valid implications from that. It's not 3 separate equations to memorize, it's one, but they're all packed into that. So I'm going to go backwards with this problem in a way. I'm going to start with Olsmail's conclusion. And again, please, as I go, pepper me in the chat, either the regular chat or the direct chat, with either like, yeah, we get it, go on, dude. Or like you can even say like, okay, I didn't get it before, but I get it now. I see your point. So move on. Or you could say like, wait, what? Like, I'm going to go a little bit backwards. But the more I can cue off what you guys say, the better is what I'm trying to say. So first of all, what Olsmail said is correct. What is actually the case is that in order to solve this problem, I mean, we're being asked how fast Little Red Riding Hood is supposed to come back so that her average speed for the whole round trip is 80. What Olsmail is saying, and I think other people are agreeing, is, well, if you really think through the numbers, what that really means is you're asking Red Riding Hood to get from grandma's house to her original spot in literally no time. That's what you're really asking her to do. And that's the thing that would be impossible. That's what would require her to go at an infinite speed. What you want me to? Wait, wait? If you and mom want me to, I will. Sorry, pardon me. I'm happy. Okay, excuse me. I'm moving. I'm going to grandma's house. Hold on a second. Okay. She is right. I'm going to show you why she's right. But it's not just like a throwing her hands up in the air and saying that's ridiculous. She's right. She's getting it from the numbers. Okay, what do I mean by the numbers? I mean, okay, thank you. I mean, in fact, I'm sorry, I'm going to do these pages out of order just to go from a house thing. I mean, average speed equals distance over time. They are asking us, I'm going to turn the pages. They are asking us, yeah, okay, I'll go again. Remember, I'm going to, this whole PDF of notes will be dropped into your Google Classroom in the order, no matter what order I go over it. So look, they're asking us how fast should she go on the way in order to complete an average of 80. The first thing I'm saying is if you really think about it, and I wrote it somewhere, if you really think about it, what we're really looking for is how much time she's allowed to take to come in, because average speed equals distance over time. And they're asking us for the average speed on the way in, but average speed equals distance over time. And we know the distance on the way in is 80, right? Like average speed equals distance over time. The distance on the way in is 80. So if we knew the time on the way in, we would do 80 divided by that time, and we'd have the average speed on the way in. We'd have our answer. So the first thing I'm saying, and I think I wrote that, so let me just see if I put that in the notes. Okay. The first thing I'm saying is, if you really think about, if you write, so step 3, okay. Step 3, like we did step 1, it was a diagram of the fact pattern. We did step 2, what is the question? If you go to step 3, GDP, one thing I can write down for step 3, GDP is, I'll change the color. One thing I can write down for step 3, GDP is average speed equals, I mean, it's like the only thing we know right now is distance over time. But therefore, if we're looking for average speed, we're looking for 80 over t, right? So the only unknown is t for the way in. So we're looking for the time it takes for her to come on the way in. I'm just rephrasing the question so I can answer it now. If I knew the amount of time it takes her to come in, I would have the answer to the whole question, right? Because they're asking what's the average speed on the way in, and the distance on the way in is definitely given as 80. So I'm really in effect stuck on not knowing what the time is on the way in. Well, what I'm writing now as part of step 3 GDP, like how could I get the time on the way in? Well, one thing I know about the time on the way in is by definition, it has to be the total time minus the time out. Like that's what it's saying, it right? I mean, that's a definition. The total time for the whole round trip would equal time out plus time in. So time in is total time minus time out. Notice that's a GDP. That's a step 3. That's a triple equal sign. That's a piece of knowledge that is just true even before I start this problem. It's definitely true. And the only reason you wouldn't write a thing like that down is if you maybe are worried in advance that you don't have all the pieces of information. But what I'm trying to encourage you to do is don't psych yourself out like that. Like the total time in is just going to be the round trip time minus the time out. So if we could get the round trip time and subtract from it the time out, we'd be good to go. It is mine. It's not, sorry, it's not, thank you. I would give it to you. You can open it, but it's not Pokemon cards. Sorry, but you can't open it. I got to teach. But not you. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. See you soon. Okay. so again, stop me if you don't follow me so far, but I'm saying we want to know the time on the way in. That's just going to be the difference between the total time and the time on the way out. Okay, now are these things that I know? Yes, they are. I'm in effect secretly, if you're wondering, what am I? I'm saying this problem gave us a bunch of speeds, but it gave us a distance too. So let's in effect convert those speeds to times in our mind and think about this problem in terms of time. If I'm going to do that, I'm flipping back to the pages. Then I'm saying, right. So I'm saying the question is, what's the average speed in such, so I'm reading the board right now. What's the average speed in such that the total average speed for the whole round trip is 80 kilometers per day, right? So I wrote down average speed equals distance over time. And then I say, let's consider the out trip. Like I'm telling you, I'm asserting right now, this is all to back up what Allsmile said, honestly. But I'm asserting that we do know how much time the out trip takes. We do, because time, I rearrange the equation above, right? So in effect, I'm still in step 3 GDP, if you like. I rearrange the equation above, time equals distance over speed, right? I mean, if average speed equals distance over time, then time equals distance over speed. And I'm letting the initial spot that we started be called 0, just to make that like wherever she started. I mean, she didn't start at position 4 or something like on homework 1. She started wherever she started. We can call it 0. So time equals distance over speed. So now on the way out here, so now here at this point in the problem, in my solution of the problem, I'm now up to this is step 4, PAW. Like I'm starting to plug in actual facts and numbers from this actual problem into the larger givens that I have. I'm saying here, the trip out, in this case, the trip out is 80 kilometers of distance divided by 40 kilometers per day. That is 2 days. And look, you could think of that in terms of the equation I just did, or just back up and forget equations for a minute. I think you all actually know the logic of that. Like if she had 80 miles, just think of it in miles per hour. If she had 80 miles to go, but she's driving at 40 miles per hour, right? If you're driving at 40 miles per hour, but you have to drive 80 miles, it's going to take you 2 hours to do that, right? Like distance equals rate times time. So that's what I'm saying here so far. She took 2 days to go out, right? It took her 2 days to go out, okay? So just bank that in part of your mind. Now just put that in a box in your mind. It took her 2 days to go out. But we could use the same logic to ask, okay, if we're trying to have her average speed for the whole round trip be 80 kilometers per day, then look, I'm going to flip the page and look. Well, wait, okay. So I said this part already. Sorry, just keep going. Okay. So now look, if we want to know the time for the whole round trip, let's do the same logic again. For the whole round trip, time equals distance over speed. And the distance for the whole round trip is 160 kilometers. Where did I get that? That was very confusing to people in the other class. Where did I get 160? I'm saying, well, you have to go 80 kilometers out, and then you have to 80 kilometers back in. So 80 plus 80 is 160. I'm saying the whole round trip is 160. And they demand in this problem that the average speed for the whole round trip be 80 kilometers per day. Therefore, what they're demanding for the whole round trip is that the total time, so it says right here, the total time must be 2 days. Now, this is in a separate, I might be losing people right at this moment. What I'm saying right now is in a separate box in your brain. Like, forget about the other 2 that I mentioned a couple of minutes ago. I'm just saying right now, the problem says that you're going at an average speed of 80 for the whole round trip. Like that's a demand of the problem. It says, we want to do something such that our average speed for the whole round trip is 80 kilometers per day, right? The problem says that. So I'm saying, if the problem says that you're going an average speed of 80 kilometers per day for a whole trip that actually is 160 kilometers, well, then that means they're giving you 2 days to do this whole round trip. Right? Just forget anything else we've said so far for a moment. I'm just saying that according to this problem, we have 2 days to do the whole round trip. And again, please stop me right now in the chat if that doesn't make sense,
or please stop me later in the chat if that doesn't make sense. But when they say that it must take an average speed of 80 kilometers per day to do the whole round trip, I'm translating that to mean, well, it must therefore be 2 days for this entire round trip. But and we're looking for how much days or how much time would we be allowed to take on the way back. Okay, wait, I'm just looking. I'm looking in the chat. Someone's in the chat. Oh, okay, cool. Thank you. So someone in the direct chat had a breakthrough. Like they're admitting in the direct chat, they didn't see it before, but they see it now. Like that, nothing could be better music to my ears. That's awesome. Thank you. And please screenshot that and you can submit that for participation. But again, remember, guys, nobody should be ever embarrassed about something they didn't see before. And if everybody saw it before, I don't have a job, right? And if everybody keeps on not seeing it forever, then I'm not doing my job. So what we're looking for with everybody is moving from not understanding to understanding. So one person, at least in the direct chat, just said that something in what I did just now helped them. Now they see it. Great. So I'm still talking to everybody, but great. I mean, like not sarcastically, great. But still, that doesn't mean that's everybody, right? So I'm going to finish. What I'm saying now is we're looking for how much time to take on the way back. I believe the amount of time that we take on the way back would be the amount of time that we have for the whole thing minus whatever time we take on the way out, right? Like, for example, if we figured out that we've got 10 days to do this whole thing, and if we independently in a different part of our brain, but with the same equation, figured out that it took us 3 days to go out, right? If we have 10 days for this whole round trip, and if we figured out that it took us 3 days to get there, then it would take us 7 days to come back. And we would just about pretty much have an answer once we said that, right? I'm just saying, take the total amount of time that we have to do this whole thing and subtract from it the amount of time that we took to go out. And whatever's left over is the amount of time we have to come back. And then you might say, what do we do with that? That's not what the problem's asking. I'm saying once we have the amount of time it takes to come back, put 80 kilometers divided by that time, and that's the average speed we'd have to go. End of story, right? I'm saying whatever we get for the amount of time on the way back. In fact, I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to say, hold on, just to be clear what I'm trying to do. And all I'm doing is taking this one equation, average speed equals distance over time. And I'm like, looking at it and looking at it and looking at it. I'm applying it to different sections of the problem and I'm flipping it around, right? But I'm applying it to 3 different sections of the problem. I'm turning it around, cross multiplying it, but all I'm doing is looking at average speed equals distance over time. And nothing I'm doing is invoking any other knowledge. And everything I'm doing is with that one equation, which is sidebar, partly why I think this is fair. Like, it's not like it's asking us to think about anything from anywhere else but this one equation. But why it's hard and weird is, oh my God, this equation, we're asking to do a lot of work for us. And that's what I want you to see. But I will say this, the final answer we're looking for, whatever it is, will be 80 kilometers over the time, whatever we get for the time on the way back in, right? I'm saying that it will be 80 kilometers because that's how far it is on the way back in, divided by the time for the way back in. So as long as I get the time for the way back in, I'm done. But now here's what I'm saying. The T in equals, by definition, T total, like T total for the whole round trip total, or you could call it R for round trip or whatever, minus T out. And now what I'm saying is, here's what's weird. We do, okay, I'll even be more specific. X total minus X. Right? I'm saying it's going to be T total minus T out. And where are we going to get T total and where we're going to get T out? From our one and only equation, average speed equals distance over time, but rearranged. So T total is X total over average speed total, and T out is X out over average speed out, right? But I'm going to the next page now. I'm going to the next page. I'm just should copy. Right. And let me also pause for a second to say, it may look like, I remember how this looked to me. You might think, if you're, especially if you just like zoom in right now, or I mean like swoop in right now, you might think I'm making up all kinds of equations. Like you might think like, where's he getting these equations with subscript t's and all this stuff? I'm not. I'm just taking our one equation and applying it to the specifics. This is like kind of the difference between step 3 GDP and step 4 PAW, or this is kind of the difference between triple equal signs and double equal signs. This may look like a bunch of gibberish, and there's no shame if it does right now. But one way to make this not look like gibberish in your mind is to believe me that it isn't gibberish. Like I'm just saying, I'm just applying X over V to the total, and I'm applying it to the out trip. I'm just consistently applying it to every little mini experiment or segment of the experiment that I can. And I'm just making up subscripts now, to be consistent in the situation. But these are not new formulas for you to memorize or anything like that. I hope that becomes increasingly clear to everybody. But if I fill in numbers now, here's what I'm saying. Not finally at Olsmail's point. Sorry. What I'm saying, we're just about there. Sorry. Whoop. We're saying this. This is all, and I'm going to stop in a minute and solicit your feedback. Or is that the word? Yeah, I'm going to get your feedback in a second. But this is ultimately Olsmail's point. I'm saying, if you follow me, that what we're really trying to find is how much time she would take to come in. And if you follow me, that's just whatever time is left over from whatever she took to go out, like whatever time is left over from whatever total amount of time we're allotting for this whole round trip minus whatever time she took to win out. Like, as long as we can get that difference in time, we're just going to put it under 80, and that will be our answer. And that is the procedure. Like, this is not a mess. That's how we would get the answer. The issue is that these particular numbers that were given seem to say that she's got 2 days to do the whole thing, but she took 2 days to go out. That's the problem. Like, she's got 2 days to do the whole thing. So we're just going to say whatever she took to go out, subtract that, and whatever's left over, that's how much time she needs to take to come back in. So if she took a day and a half to come out, we would say, oh, she's got a half a day to come back in. We would say, oh, she needs to take a half a day to come back in. So then we would say, oh, she needs to go like 160 kilometers per hour or per day, right? For example, like, so what I'm really saying is, if you think the answer to this problem is 160 kilometers per day, that seems reasonable. It totally seems reasonable, 160. If you thought the answer was 160, but if you think about it, what you're saying then is 160. You're saying she'll drive back the 80 kilometers. She'll drive it back at 160 kilometers per day. That means she'll take a half a day to come back. That seems reasonable. That seems a lot less time than it took her to go out. Like, that's a lot faster. That seems reasonable. But it'll take her a half a day to come back. But the problem is, she didn't only take a day and a half to go out. If she only had taken a day and a half to go out, that would work perfectly. But she didn't take a day and a half to go out. She took 2 days to go out. But she only has 2 days to play with for the whole thing. I'm saying that I got the number 2 days independently with two independent calculations, but the same equation. I said 160 over 80 is the 2 day, that's the distance over time for the whole round trip. The whole round trip is 160 kilometers over 80 kilometers per day average speed. So the whole thing is going to have to take 2 days. That's one fact that I got from their facts. But then also, if it's 80 kilometers out and she drove out at a speed of only 40 kilometers per day, then that means she took 2 days to go out. So she used up all of her 2 days to go out. So the amount of time she has to get back in is 0. So the true answer, so also, by the way, any of you got people in the chat who got 0 as an answer, and there were a number of you, you're definitely not crazy. You might be a lot close. You might have really been very close. Like, you might have understood already a lot of what I just said. I could see why you'd get 0, but 0 is the amount of time she has to get out back. If the problem is asking how fast does she have to drive, what I'm saying is, well, how fast she has to drive is however fast she needs to drive in order to do 80 kilometers in 0 days. And in order to do a distance in the smaller the the smaller time you have to work with in order to traverse a certain distance, the faster you have to go. If she had even 0.01111111 seconds to do this, her speed would have to be incredibly high, but it would be some finite number. But we're apparently saying, these numbers are saying, she's got 0 time to get back to grandma's house. She's got to teleport, like Osmael and other people said. She would have to drive at infinite speed. By the way, not even the speed of light, faster than the speed of light, infinity speed. Is infinity a concept that we can deal with and do deal with in math and physics? Yes, it is. Do we usually say things equal infinity? No, we usually say something like approaches infinity. I'm saying, as the final answer, we would say V must approach infinity for this to work. Is it valid to write down things in math and physics like V approaches infinity or in the limit as V approaches? Yes, and we're getting to that next. That's where the calculus comes in. The cool thing about calculus and physics is, even with our finite brains and even on finite pieces of paper and even in finite equations and finite mathematical expressions, we can deal with the concept of infinity, and we do. And here's just our first example. I'm saying the speed that she'd have to go in order to get back is not any finite number, it's infinity. And that's the answer. I'm going to pause for it. And it's not meant to be a trick. And it's not meant to be obnoxious, but it's ultimately the same issue as the other problem, but it's like 2 touches harder. 1 touch harder because here we were given the average and we had to find out one of the numbers rather than the other way around. And 2, because in fact, it turned out with these actual numbers, there is no finite answer. So it's 2 levels trickier, but it's the same concept. It's trying to tell us, don't make up definition. When in doubt, use definitions. Definitions are, well, not just when in doubt, always. Definitions are always right. Anything else is not always right. Wait, so that's the answer. I'm going to pause for a second. Wait, okay, we have 11 minutes. I think I want to go to I want to pause for a second. Put in the direct chat, please. Or you can put in the public chat, but put in some kind of chat, wherever you're most comfortable. Please put just some quick thing, like pretend this is a participation game homework thing. Put something quick in the chat to the effect of either like, I get it now, or I didn't get it before, but I get it now, or I still don't get it now, or I got it. Okay, that's cool. Okay, thank you. Or you could say, I got it 20 minutes ago. I'll be honest, Tell me if you don't get it, tell me honestly in the direct chat. I'm not going to say your name to anybody, but you might not get it you'd be amazed. In the direct chat, a lot of people might have the same issue you do. So if you don't get it, or especially if you can tell me where you don't get it, tell me. I'm looking. Okay. And be honest, don't compliment. You know what I mean? Like, be honest. We're at that stage of the year. Okay, cool. I mean, cool. That's fair. Okay, look at that. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Oh, and someone's even said thank you. Thank you for the thank you. That was cool. And then someone say, okay. So I'm not going to read this. Like, some people are saying things that are honest, like I'm starting to understand it, which, okay, I appreciate they're leaving a little wiggle room. And if they see where they don't fully understand it, if they want to tell me, that would help. Like, someone else is saying, someone's saying I kind of understand. Someone's saying I kind of understood before, but now I understand. Cool. But if you only someone wrote, I somewhat get it. Totally fair and honest. Now I'm going to push you a little further too. Okay. Oh, cool. Okay, cool. Okay. Oh, and if you need me to flip the pages, remember the pages will be dropped in your Google Classroom in like the actual order. But if you need me to flip around that, but it's still really good to take notes, obviously. Okay. I'm thinking from the direct chat that people basically get it. Now, there are a couple of people, but again, I'm telling you right now, remember, in the other section, people were much more like, no. So it's totally fine. Like, you don't have to get it now just because I'm saying, anyway, you don't have to get it now just because I'm asking you to get it. And I'm going to be honest, let's be honest with honesty. A couple of people are saying like, I kind of get it now, but I don't totally. That could mean one of two things. If you're a person who's saying, I kind of get it now, but not totally, it might mean you're thinking really hard about it. You're following all this, but there's still something that's fuzzy and you're not even sure what it is. But if I were alone with you in office hours or something, I would press you to be like, okay, you're saying it's fuzzy. Can you look back and look where it got fuzzy? Like, is it fuzzy? Like, there's different kind of fuzzinesses. And if you were alone with me right now, one of you who are saying it was fuzzy, I might press you to say, let's figure out where it's fuzzy. We can do this. But it's also possible that some of you are being honest and saying it's fuzzy because you might know in your heart that you're only tuning in and out sort of anyway. And you kind of know there's something big going on and you're sort of getting it, but you don't want to commit because you kind of missed half it. That's fine. Like, you're a human being. Like, I get it. If you're kind of just saying like, I don't totally get it yet, but I also know I'm not really paying attention totally. Like, I've got a dog too, and I'm distracted, but I kind of feel like you give me enough that if you leave me alone and I go to my room later on, I will get this. So like, don't press me right now, but I'm also not saying I could take a test. Like, I get, that's fair too. But what I really want to say to everybody, like, really, we're all human beings. But we're trying to learn hard stuff here. The hard stuff is not complicated. It's legitimately hard. What are we actually trying to learn here? We're trying to learn actually how to think at a higher level. We're literally trying to learn how to get smarter. That is the thing that physics actually does. It actually shows you not more knowledge. It shows you how, ultimately, when you practice it enough, it shows you how to figure out things that you didn't think you could figure out, which is like a big, mysterious, magical skill. So what I want to tell all of you, we're all at different stages of it all the time, all of us. What I want to tell all of you is the key to the whole thing is being as clinical and honest with yourself at all times, is allowing yourself to not understand something fully, but say to yourself, I don't understand it fully, but it is understandable. I can get this, but I don't understand it fully. And either then saying, this is the part I don't understand. Like, that's huge. If you can say, this is the part I don't understand, and not worry about whether you were expected to understand it 2 days ago, you think, or not worry about whether somebody else understands it, or blah, 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 blah. If you can either say to yourself, this is the part I don't understand, and I know this, but I don't even have the guts to, I don't want to ask the professor right now, but I know in my heart, this is the part I don't get. Cool. That's huge. It doesn't mean you have to ask me right now. You might not be comfortable. But if you can even flag and be like, later on, I either have to figure this out or I have to ask him and hopefully he won't bite off my head, and I won't. Or if you can even just honestly say to yourself, okay, this thing, I see that it's big. I see that it's supposed to be understandable, but I just can't focus on this right now. Fine. But then flag and say like, need to focus on this later, even if it's with help from a friend or from Yaverbaum or by myself. But you've got to be in dialogue with yourself at all times with these things, because I want to say to all of you again, like, there's, I think 2 or 3 people in the class that even this problem, is not yet at a level that freaked them out. They still need another, like something else is going to happen later. Like they might not be freaked out yet, but almost almost everybody but 2 or 3 people in the room did something wrong somewhere. So got something to benefit from this, but then saw the light, I hope. Meaning, and those other 2 people, I guarantee you there's going to be a moment where they're going to hit something where more light is revealed too. I'm saying to all of you, the way to reveal the light in these things is to be super honest with yourself of what you're seeing and what you're not seeing, and also to know at all times it is harder than it looks in a way, or it's hard in a way that we might not have anticipated, but it is doable by all of us. This is not a question of black magic or formulas that you missed, or that you were supposed to memorize that you didn't, or something that you were supposed to do in 7th grade that you didn't, or something that I know that you don't. This is all about one stupid equation that we're just looking and turning around and looking at. And I mean, it's not really stupid. I shouldn't say that. But I mean, one equation that in some ways you've known your whole life, distance equals rate times time. And if I look at it hard enough, I can find a way to make it hard for all of us. But also, if I then look at it even more, we can show all of us that that we had the knowledge within all the while. It was never pulled from outside of our brain or outside of our talent level or something. It's all doable. That is the crazy thing about physics. It is an endeavor that was discovered and made up by actual real people who we might now consider to be geniuses because they did all this on there, but they weren't all. And they weren't all considered geniuses while they were doing it. And part of their genius was just that they were so single-minded that they were willing to dedicate so many drafts and so many mistakes and so many redos to this one single endeavor called physics. And they didn't have other things going on like you do. Like really, really, all of this is figure outable if you dedicate to, okay, I'm over, but I want to make that clear. This is all like a figuring out how to figure things out, and all of us can do it. And that I'm speaking most loudly to people that might not be thinking that they can, or might be frustrated at the moment, or might have been frustrated 20 minutes ago. But I'm also speaking to those of you who are not frustrated at all and are just bored. I promise you, this is all a model for what you're going to do when you eventually hit a problem that is hard enough to be worth your attention. And I promise you that will happen. Not because I'm promising you that I know what your IQ is or something like that, but I know that the universe is infinite. And somewhere we can all hit an investigation of space and time that is hard enough to warrant our attention. That's why I keep finding this exciting and interesting and challenging year after year after year, because there's always a level that it's worth it for all of us. So, okay, that's enough. All right, there's only 2 minutes left. Okay. Since there's only 2 minutes, I'm not going to start the next problem. You're at the exact same place at the other class. Don't worry about it. We didn't get to the other equations. It's fine. Although you'll notice there was, in one of the 2 equations that we're going to get to next, there was a limit in one of the equations. We're going to go to limits and instantaneous velocities and derivatives next. Like we're going to start dealing with limits as things go to infinity next. That's partly what this problem is trying to kick off and introduce. So that's like the segue. We're not going to do it now. There's only 1 minute left in class. But let me also tell you nothing. I mean, I think it's a good place to stop, but please, and I appreciate everything you're putting in the chat. The feedback is very helpful. I want you to be more and more encouraged to put more and more in the chat. I'm going to say, no, thank you. Oh, no, thank you. Okay, so we're done. You can go. You got to go. But I will hang out to the last person leave. So if you have any questions or concerns or complaints, hang on. I'm here. Other than that, have a great day. And I'll turn off the recording. Have a great day. Have a great day. Awesome. Thank you.